This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is Wednesday, 29th November 2023. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is news to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. The government is told by the opposition to provide relevant information to the public relating to the Dragon gas deal with Venezuela. TNT and Venezuela signed agreements for the joint exploration of gas in the territorial waters shared by both countries. However, opposition Senator Wade Mark, during a motion in the Senate yesterday, Tuesday, quoted from a senior official in the U.S. Western Hemisphere of state relating to implications which can arise if this country fails to fulfill its part of the agreement. In response, Energy Minister Stuart Young said the government will be responsible on how it proceeds with respect to the project. Also, independent Senator Anthony Vera highlighted some concerns he has respecting the licenses granted Venezuela and the border dispute and holding on the elections in Venezuela. Former Sangre Grande Regional Corporation Chairman Martin Terry Rondon has passed away. Confirmation of this from Works and Transport Minister Rohan Sinanan in the Senate yesterday, Tuesday, before he responded to a question on the order paper. Minister Rohan Sinanan sent condolences to Mr. Rondon and his family and recognized his long years of service to the country. Mr. Rondon began his political career as local government representative in 1996 at the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation. Protests erupted in Sangre Grande yesterday after a police-involved killing of Brandon DeGale, a contractor at Northeastern Settlement, during protests by the residents of the community. The media understands there were reports of gunfire, burning of debris on the roads and blockage in some areas, and a hijacking of the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation private contractor's garbage truck. Officers from the Ugandan Emergency Branch responded to the protest, with Senior Superintendent Frank engaging protesters to clear the area. He was eventually able to get the residents to allow the TNT fire service to clear the roadway. Residents, however, said they intend to take further action until they get justice for DeGale 33, who they said was a contractor working on a job site not far away. According to police reports at 4:30 a.m. yesterday, members of the Eastern Division Gang and Intelligence Unit, along with officers from the Eastern Division Task Force, proceeded to two homes at Northeastern Settlement in Sangre Grande. The mission was to execute search warrants related to firearms and ammunition and the seizure of electronic devices. An assessment is being done by law enforcement agencies. Recommendations will be submitted following a recent arson attack at the licensing office in Carney, which destroyed 14 vehicles. The center was told security has been increased at the location, which also has armed security during the day and night, as well as CCTV cameras. Minister of Works and Transport said once proposals are received from the relevant authorities, they will be implemented immediately. At 2 p.m. today, the Commission of Inquiry into the Paria diving tragedy will convene its final sitting, a virtual sitting. The Commission says it will be its final sitting and not expected to last more than an hour. April was the original deadline for the Commission to submit its final report to Her Excellency Christine Kangaloo, the President. However, Chairman Jerome Lynch King's Council asked for an extension. The request was granted and extended from August and then now November 30th. Finally, according to a United Nations report released on Tuesday, gangs are invading Haiti's rural central region, suffocating a once peaceful area that served as the country's food basket and is now plagued by serious crimes. The International Organization for Migration said gang violence has forced 22,000 people to flee their homes, more than half of them being children. And that is news right here on News Power Digital to 6 a.m. We'll have major news coming your way at 7 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
But you see, the whole point is that we now have a convention that says that a person with disability has all of the rights of anybody else. And the Trinidad and Tobago government, because it has signed up to that convention, is bound to create laws or to create legislation that ensures those rights. I think that's pretty wonderful. What do you think?
That was a pretty good idea.
Thank you so much, Eileen.
Thank you, Jean.
Let's look to the future.
I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
It's hump day. That's right. It is Wednesday, midweek, on this, the 29th day of November, the second to last day of November, the second to last day of the end of the official hurricane season. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show on Power 102 Digital. Full cast in. We just heard from Paul Richards, who got home very late last night. We'll hear from Wendell Stephen, Richard Ragabarison. We got Ruben in the mix. My name is Steve Khan. Let's get straight into the WT, see what's happening traffic and weather-wise. Traffic-wise, Churchill Roosevelt Highway, westbound from Trin City to UE, and then it's pretty much smooth sailing until you get the swim court. Just by the interchange, you're going to step on your brake a little bit, but it is moving. Eastern Main Road, got nothing to tell you about. Coming out of O'Meara Road onto the highway, you've got some traffic. Nothing out in the Southland. Head up north, you're going to pick up your traffic just after Freeport to Sugar Guarners, and in Charlieville is where you're going to get slow going. By Chinchin Road on the Southern Main Road, you're going to get a little build up there. All right, let's check our weather, see what it's going to be like for today. It is 23 degrees at Piarco International Airport, 24 at Crown Point in Tobago. And the Met Office says mostly fair, slightly hazy and breezy, except for some partly cloudy intervals with a few light to moderate showers in confined areas. There is a low chance that heavier shower or thunderstorm could occur. In the vicinity of heavy showers and or thunderstorms, expect gusty winds with frequent lightning, street or flash flooding. There is a mild concentration of Sahara dust, mild to moderate. All right. Of course, let's check some temps before I say hellos to those whose messages are ready. Let's see. In Toronto, you're setting the same as yesterday, -4 with flurries. You know what flurries are? Well, it's like a drizzle with snow. All right, -4, same as yesterday, but with flurries. Miami, you're at 15. Orlando, 7. New York, you got your first set of the white stuff from the heavens yesterday, and you're sitting at -3. Atlanta, you're at -2. London, 3 degrees. Tampa, 8. Washington, D.C., -4. Well, it's not in LA. You're sitting at 11 degrees. Ouch. It's a cold one for you guys up north. It's a cold one for sure. Of course, let's see your Sunday's hellos first thing this morning. Got Celia out in Baltimore, Maryland. Good morning. DJ Ray in Tampa. Oliver Man Warren. Carol Guevara, good morning to you. Wendy and James Boy, good morning. Out in Davie. Marcia Rock, good morning. Dennis Prasad, Wayne B, good morning, out in Covenant, Georgia. Rena Boodoo Jennings, Alistair Hart, Slick Money Grip, hump day, guys. It is indeed. CJ out in New York. Good morning, hump day. Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida. Maria Celia, Slick Money Grip. Urban Santana, good morning. It's been a long time. It has been indeed. All right, that's on YouTube and on Facebook, of course. Going to head across the pond. Good morning to Michael out in London. Hope you guys have a great morning. Cold one for you guys as well. And let me say good morning going out to you, Mr. Paul Richards. Dr.
Morning,
Paul
Steve.
Richards.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Paul. How you doing?
I'm fine. I don't know where you get your information from. I did not get home late last night.
Well, I passed around 6 o'clock and I saw the Red House was in session, so I figured it probably went late.
No. You know, you're
Yeah.
only a partial off for just disseminating erroneous information.
But as I was in Port of Spain, I came to the office and I'm passing through South Key. And there's so many people waiting for transport, and the place is so dark. My suggestion would be to, those lights that they have by the interchange, those bright white lights, they should put that along South Key all the way up to HDC, because there were tons of people by HDC. I don't know which taxi stand that is, but tons of people waiting for transport. And it was so dark.
And dark means dangerous.
Pretty much, They could really do some light from the
Dark means more dangerous.
by HDC.
I don't know. Sometimes I wonder.
Yeah.
These things seem so obvious to most of us. They seem so obvious to most of us. I don't understand.
And there was kids from school. They saw uniforms, young people, old people. I don't know. And you're right, darkness is not too safe.
They're safe at all.
No, even by the Carney taxi stand, which is at the corner by Broadway intersection itself, by the lights. Yeah. You should really put those white lights and flood the whole area with light.
Maybe the relevant authorities will hear you and take note. Who knows?
Yeah,
maybe they'll hear you and take note and say, what, Steve, making sense, so.
Yeah, especially by HDC, which are the most amount of people. Flood the lights right up to there so people feel a bit secure. Morning to you, Wendell.
Morning. Am I in the show?
No.
Yes, he's just talking to you and you're answering because you're out of the show.
All right, because I don't know. Is it my internet giving trouble or yours?
Sylvia said it's yours.
All right, it probably is. Although I'm seeing full service. Anyway, good morning, Steve. Good morning, Paul. Good morning, Richard. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And good morning, listeners and viewers from all over the globe. It's Wednesday morning. It's a very nice morning out, actually.
It's cool. It's 23 degrees up in your end.
Yeah. Happy to be in the land of the living.
Yeah, let me say good morning. Good out to Mo Gaines. Good morning, Mo Gaines. Miss Ingrid in Tucson, Arizona. Trini in Boston. Ronald Pierre, good morning. Mrs. R, good morning. My good friend Patos out in Barbados. Good morning to you, my friend. And I just start by saying condolences going out to the former chairman of the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation, who's been a friend to this show for many, many years. Terry Rondon, who passed away yesterday.
Yes, condolences to his family. Really, probably most celebrated local government official in this country's history. Would that be so, Wendell?
Hold on a second. I really am.
While you organize your stuff, he's been on the ground, and once you head to the East Coast, from Valencia all the way up to Matlot, he's well known on the ground. So he'll certainly be missed by the folks out in eastern part of Trinidad and Tobago, and his friends all over the country and up the Caribbean.
He's a really hard worker, and clearly his work was appreciated over the years, and he will be certainly missed. Condolences again to his family and colleagues, because he mentored a lot of people in the local government fraternity also. He kind of set the template for how to be a proper local government councillor and administrator later on, and I think he was chairman. Yeah, he was chairman, so he certainly be missed. That news broke yesterday afternoon, and we await the announcement of funeral arrangements. For him. There were protests in the east also, Sangre Grande. A police-involved killing of a young man described as a contractor, 33-year-old DeGale, Brandon DeGale, from Northeastern Settlement in Sangre Grande. The police reports indicate that they went to search 2 houses. There are 2 warrants to search 2 houses related to looking for illegal firearms. And when reaching one of the addresses, the officers encountered a female in the living room. When they entered the bedroom, they observed a male brandishing an object resembling a firearm, who they said was aimed at one of the officers. Fearing for his life, they discharged their weapon and he was hit, falling to the ground. Police allegedly recovered a .38 revolver and 5 rounds of ammunition. And a quantity of marijuana and a camera bulb was seized. Very odd.
Camera bulb?
Yeah, a camera bulb was seized, so they say. Yeah. So the residents had a different version because there was a female in the premises who had a different version of what happened. Again, we would not have this conflicting reports if there was body cam footage in that encounter. But
here we go.
That's an academic conversation now. As we've said before, police do not seem to want to wear body cams in these circumstances. They have a resistance to it no matter what the official stated policy is. Them don't want to wear no body cams. So again, there'll be conflicting reports, and this will fade away into oblivion. And even if it went one way, who knows? 11 years might pass, and the results may be what they want them to be. Good morning again, Wendell.
Yeah. I'm sorry. My apologies for these internet issues. First, I think I was about to express my condolences to the family of Terry Rondon, Josanne, his wife, and other children, on the passing of Terry Rondon. Terry Rondon was, of course, the longest serving local government person in local government. Just ahead, actually, of myself and Irene Hines. So condolences to his family. Terry and us had a special relationship, especially in the city of Port of Spain, because he certainly encouraged. Port of Spain was twinned with Toko Fishing Pond, his electoral district. And it was largely due to the work being done by Terry Rondon up there. And of course, former Mayor Murchison Brown, who initiated that twinning exercise. And we as a council used to go up to Toko every single year. Terry would dress like as Santa Claus. And we in the city would take the gifts up, and we would go from village to village on our way from when we reach Valencia all the way up to Toko Fishing Pond and up the way up to Matlot, giving out toys. Terry would be the Santa Claus. So we have a long standing relationship. Of course, he invited us up to Toko on many occasions as he came down to the city, So he will be missed. He was a really tireless soldier for the People's National Movement. Really tireless. He attained the position of chairman of Toko, of Sangre Grande Regional Corporation for 2 terms. And, he was loved by all, and he got along good even with his opponents in the politics, So Terry deserves every accolade he has been getting since his passing yesterday. Rest in peace, Terry. You will be missed. Trust me. I can't forget your turtle PRICK soup. He always used to say, Wendell, come up and get some. Good for you. Good for all you. Come up and get some. You asked me how he made it, but it was clear what he made it from, and it was clear what it was designed to do. Because I don't know if you all have ever seen turtles, and especially
I love it
when they mate. So he was a specialty with that. Paul, you're silent. I don't know if Paul talking to us.
No, he's muted. Paul, you're muted.
What happens to turtles when they mate? I don't know. I've never seen it.
Have you never seen turtles mate? Have you ever seen them mate?
None, you mean lay their eggs?
No, mate.
No.
They do that out in the water.
No, not always. But check it out. Google it and check
But
it.
you could describe it. What am I missing?
You'll understand why one of Terry's specialty was that particular soup.
What, turtle penis soup?
Yeah.
That's what you're afraid to say?
I spelled it out earlier on.
Yeah, but you spell it and just say it though.
I said no, well, it wasn't P-E-N-I-S, it was P-R-I-C-K.
Okay. And what is the secret elixir in that?
I don't know, but I don't know. I never make
But
it.
what is this about the turtle mating visual that gives you the impression that this will be a potent elixir?
Oh Lord, you just go on and on and on.
I'm trying to find out. I'm asking questions. I don't know. I don't know. Ask questions.
No, we don't want to lose focus on the fact that Terry Rondon has passed, and a lot of people, as I say, Terry would invite up to Toko for particular things, and we all enjoyed it. All enjoyed fish, provision, fruits, you name it. Terry gave it.
And turtle peanut
really
soup
to everybody. Huh?
And turtle peanut soup.
And turtle PRS.
Did you ever sample it?
Yes, I did. That's what I'm telling you.
How was it?
I can speak from experience.
Okay, did it work?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know if it worked for other people, but nothing. No, I don't need nothing for it to work for me.
Did it work better?
I don't even know. I'm that good. It's too early,
Anyway, condolences to, and what you said earlier on, whether you were NAR or PNM or UNC or whatever, he was loved by all.
Yes.
He had the kind of personality and his character crossed political boundaries. Everyone loved Terry Rondon. They actually, on the opposition side, no Rushton Parry spoke highly of him. And so he certainly had a different kind of personality and character that crossed boundaries. So may he rest in peace.
Yeah, he did. He definitely did.
We were talking just before you came on about this latest police killing and the conflicting information coming out, so much so that the residents of northeastern area, Sangre Grande, staged a protest action because of what they said was excessive police use of force. When police went into a domicile and said they saw a man brandishing what resembled, this is the reporter, resembled to be a firearm. They didn't say it was a firearm, they said resembled a firearm. When you see those words appear,
Yeah.
Right? And later in the report, they said they recovered. They didn't say recover from him, They recover a .38 revolver, .38 ammunition, a quantity of weed, and a camera bulb. Now, how a camera bulb? Why are you seizing a camera bulb?
A camera bulb? What is a camera bulb?
A bulb for a camera, a flash maybe.
The man is a photographer then?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It's an odd detail to end up in a police report. He sees a chair and a blender too. It's an odd item. Maybe I know some people I've seen in movies use hard drug paraphernalia. Maybe that's why they seized it. You understand?
A camera bulb is drug paraphernalia.
I don't understand at all. I just don't understand. But the story, it's missing parts.
I think I know where the camera bulb thing coming.
How?
The guy must be shining it to blind them. So that is why they see something resembling a firearm.
So he shine the light before he pull the trigger, before he point the thing resembling the gun? That's how it works?
That I don't know. I can write police reports, because exactly what you read out there is a standard police report.
Yeah, but let me tell you what's odd to me. They felt threatened for their lives because the man pointed something resembling a gun.
Resembling a firearm. And it might have been the
camera bulb. He point a gun.
So it might have been the camera bulb where you were shining to see who coming.
And that's where you shoot him?
That's what I said.
They mistake a camera gun for a camera bulb for a gun? Okay. Again, if they were wearing body cams, we wouldn't have this discussion this morning. But they don't want to institute or apply consistently the body cam policy. If there's a policy, quite frankly, that is actually being applied, which I doubt very much. I've raised a question about that, I found me talking about it too much and nothing happening. So remind me, please. Right?
Yeah.
Send me a message.
Yeah.
Because it's happening over and over. And we have a body cam policy in place, and officers are supposed to consistently apply the body cam. When you take off that thing and you don't go anywhere with that. Good morning, Rock Bassing.
Good morning, guys. And of course, good morning Good morning,
It's an
John,
annoying
listeners and
conversation,
viewers,
really.
wherever we are. You are, wherever you are, I should say.
Somebody saying the bulb is a camera.
Which bulb?
I just read what the report stated. I don't know if the bulb was a
Yeah,
camera.
I know that there are CCTV cameras that could look like a bulb. I had one actually. You screw it into a normal socket for a light bulb, but it's actually a camera. I don't know if that's what they mean.
That would be interesting if they took that as part of the footage. That would have given us more information about the encounter.
Well, that would have captured the footage of the incident, more than likely.
Which is probably going into the Great Never Never Land by now.
Of course it is. There are cameras that could that look
somebody's
like
telling me the bulb had a camera in it, so you seized it for evidence, I'm supposing. Good morning, my dear. Thank you for the information. The bulb had a camera in it, which is probably why they seized it.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, the footage going into Never Never Land.
Mm-hmm.
Never to be
Yeah,
seen
but
again.
They won't recover the footage from the bulb. They'll recover the footage from the hard drive or from the phone with the app that's recording it. The bulb itself won't capture the thing. You don't seize the camera. You seize where the footage is being relayed to.
It is the TTPS. Anything is possible.
But sometimes the camera may have the footage as well as the cloud. Huh? Yeah, but
who accessing that? Which police accessing that? If the man dead and gone with the information how to get onto it.
Well, this too will go into the great abyss of unsolved and unreconciled discrepancies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Or if it comes to light, the case will take 11 years. I know you wonder why the public trust and confidence at an all-time low. I got the thing to fill out, actually, the survey Google document to fill out, which I shall fill out.
For what?
The Police Service Commission is conducting their public scan of public trust and confidence in the police service.
And they're randomly choosing people out.
But they're sending it around, and once you fill it out, the information goes to the source.
Mm-hmm.
I'll send it to you. Most of my response will be on the far left.
Mm-hmm. So some people are saying the camera will have an SD card in it. Now, I had one of those things, but I know it was recorded on an app.
They're different types. So some are recorded sent to your phone. Some are double recorded on an SD card and device, and also sent to your phone or some other device. So they're different types and different ways to record information from it.
All right.
Anyway, again, the issue here is not the bulb. The issue here is the body cams that are absent or clearly absent. Sorry.
They didn't have one body cams? Of course they did. They must have had one body cams.
They did, but the body cams didn't have SD cards.
What?
No, I just being sarcastic.
Okay. But you mightn't be far off. You be very with your sarcasm. You mightn't be far from reality when it comes to TTPS.
They didn't get the footage from the body cams, but the light bulb may have the footage.
Or they must have charged.
I thought 1,000 plus. I thought 1,000 plus of them had body cams.
It just the 1,000 plus had body cams and they order more, but just that those who went into that house didn't have one that day.
It just so happened.
They don't want no body cam. I don't know why we keep talking about this. You know, this pretense that the TTPS has this policy that they're enforcing about body cams in supposedly dangerous situations. No matter who in charge of the police service, there seems to be a high probability that they don't really want this consistent application of body cams. It's just talk.
Amazing, eh?
Please remind me to file that question.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we should just scrap it all together. We should poll that and see if the people will agree to just scrap it all together.
Why would we have to scrap it if it's scrapped already in practice?
Well, theory, I guess.
Exactly. You don't want that. They can say what they want. I know a couple of them. There's a particular caller who calls and defends his stupidness all the time. I just call him police voice in my mind.
Well, we have a lot of police officers who listen to us too, you know.
Yeah. So they can report to the hierarchy. And boys just bad talking again this morning.
Yeah.
A lot of
I have some birthday
back and
greetings.
forth yesterday took place in the Senate about the Dragon deal. Senator Mark raised a private member's motion requiring more information about this particular deal. And interestingly enough, he got a lot of independent support for more information, even if not detailed information about the ongoing negotiations. Senator Vera, Senator Maraj, Senator Dylan Remy, and temporary Senator Lewis all at some level agreed that the absolute secrecy was not in the interest of transparency and accountability. And they understand that there are particular details that may not be able to be divulged now, but certainly the general approach being taken with these negotiations and this top secret total thing is not in the interest of transparency and accountability.
On the Dragon deal? Okay.
And also questions about could be interviewed Dr. Anthony Gonzalez yesterday, international relations expert. I got another number again, Richard, which is actually quite good for another TNT national who's an international relations expert. So we have some, expertise now. And he also was saying a lot of the questions that we discussed yesterday with Dr. Gonzalez were raised in terms of it's a very tricky situation for Trinidad and Tobago because on December 1st, the International Court of Justice will rule on it. The opposition's contention, and a couple of independents too, was that President Maduro has already indicated he ain't taken on the International Court of Justice. You understand? And there was a lot of concern about signing a deal with this person who has dismissed the International Court of Justice position in the past. And the machinations now of the U.S. involvement deeply in Guyana and them moving into the Guyana coastline, aligning themselves with Guyana, protecting their Exxon and Chevron interests in Guyana, and what may come of the referendum on Sunday in Venezuela and how that may impact the whole political and energy situation, it's extremely tenuous. Because Maduro is somebody who is fighting for his political life. In Venezuela, 7 million people don't leave their country just so. You understand? And his main opposition person, who's a female, I forget her name now, is extremely popular. And him, the referendum won, and him acting upon the outcome of the referendum is going to be critical to his political fortunes in next year's Venezuela national election. And the US has already indicated everything is on the table if they don't feel the elections are free and fair. Amid this ongoing Essequibo battle. So it's so much of Trinidad and Tobago's prospects tied up in the Dragon deal. Anything that happens in either of those both countries has significant implications for us.
Yeah. And the referendum is coming up this weekend, not so?
Sunday. Well, as Richard has said it repeatedly, and Dr. Gonzalez said yesterday, that going in favor of what Maduro wants. Okay, and in any case, Maduro has stated he don't care what the International Court of Justice say. So if he tries to annex that land and Venezuela and Guyana decide, like, America, we ain't like that, help you out now. What's going to happen? All that sanctions and thing on the table again, Oh, if it ain't one thing, it's another.
Let me say happy birthday to James Purcell, Pointy Brown, Johnny King, Janella Nero, and
Johnny King.
Sharon Dos Santos, Michael McKnight, and Sion Nurse. Sion Nurse was a dancer with the Mova Laventil dance troupe. He is now touring touring the United States with one of those moving circuses. He's an excellent dancer. He's part of a dance troupe. Happy birthday, Sion. And yesterday, of course, was yesterday. I had a very important birthday yesterday. Whose birthday was it? Hayden Revenalis. He celebrated his birthday yesterday. Belated, and Penrod Green, two of my very good friends, celebrated birthdays yesterday. Hayden Revenalis and Penrod Green. All right.
What else is happening in the beautiful Trinidad Republic of Trinidad and Tobago?
I see that the people in the bamboo, all of a sudden, like they come to the senses. And now they are trying to do the proper thing.
They come to the senses?
You mean
they were forced into the senses?
Well, they should have been there in the beginning, but they complete the thing illegally and now want to do the correct thing.
When they were being influenced into illegal activity by a certain individual.
Yes, exactly. So now they have a different spokesman, someone who is more measured and seemingly reasonable.
Because the one before was, I don't know what to say. I don't even know what to say.
Erratic as usual. Erratic as usual.
And idiotic.
Mm-hmm. So the chairman of the Tunapuna Regional Corporation, Tunapuna Piaco, Josiah Austin, has said that, that the council will meet and consider the request to hold a hand until the requisite approvals have been acquired.
You see, consultation, communication, discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Don't play big and bad and feel you're above the law.
Typical.
You're not above the law.
He's not the only one.
Okay? Mm-hmm. No matter how loud you talk or how much irrational nonsense you spew on interviews, you're not above the law.
Yep.
And nobody afraid you.
Yep.
Damn fool.
Because trust me, down in Port of Spain, we have had those issues, but one who was getting on the same way, well, we took her back out to the place. And that was the end of that.
And there ain't nothing you could do about it.
Ain't nothing you could do.
Okay.
Ain't
and
nothing.
the thing about it, he ain't going to put on a brick and mortar himself, and he's sending people to do the strippiness. Nonsense. Well, he don't care about nobody, and really?
And I don't know how a lawyer can advise that you're in the right in that case. That you're within the law. Go ahead and finish it.
And Wendell Stevens, you believe that's strippiness from him?
Well, the lawyer never come forward and say, I never give that advice.
He named the lawyer?
I don't think he named the lawyer.
That's my point. You believe because he said it is true?
Point taken.
Huh?
Point taken.
You know what nonsense he talking this show already in the past? That's not true? That's fabricated? Oh, yeah. That's why I have my camera and went and make some eggs and bacon last time he was here. I have no conversation with that. You have to agree that the sky is blue, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west to have a starting conversation. You have to agree on some basic principles of truth. And with that individual, I ain't going on basic principles of truth with eye concern. Richard, kudos to you.
Oh, 1,000 kudos to Richard.
I was going to go through that.
1,000 kudos to Richard.
Some people, it just don't make sense interviewing because you can't get to a common point of starting with, I believe, the children are the future. and we start at that, and then we can pan out on disagreement. When you can't even start at the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, and this is planet Earth, what is the point of the discussion?
I actually like that line, though. I believe the children are the future. If you can't go past that.
What's the point of starting the conversation?
I like that. I have to use that.
Copyright strike.
I have to use that with people.
You didn't get on yesterday, believe it or not. Apparently, my version of the song was so far off the original that YouTube had picked it up. It was so removed.
The algorithm.
Anything remotely like the song.
Algorithm.
Where's that you singing this? The algorithm said no strike. Nobody can recognize that.
Because I could actually sing, so I shouldn't do it.
Oh, good.
You could actually sing, okay.
Hey, I could actually sing.
Paul, keep it to yourself. Don't say anything.
You gotta go a competition and see who will get the copyright strike.
Yeah, let's do that now. Let's do
Richard,
that.
Richard, have you ever had turtle penis soup? Brenda is an exponent of it.
Turtle penis soup? No.
Mhm.
I will not see turtle penis soup on a menu and say, oh, good, I must have this. No.
If
Brenda
somebody
said
brings
Terry
it to
Rondon
you,
used to make it and invite
if
him
somebody
to have
brings
it
it
all
to
the
you,
time.
if somebody brings it to you and say, try that, will you try it?
Depending on who it is.
Terry Rondon.
I don't know Terry Rondon that well. But if
But
he's a wild meat, if
Terry
he's a wild
Rondon
meat,
is
I
also,
don't generally eat wild meat. And I'll put that in the category of wild meat. And so if it's a wild meat person and they're bringing me food, I'll be like, what is that?
I don't like wild meat at all.
Yeah. I would just
The
eat
only wild meat I like is
I have friends who hunt. So if they bring me if they say, hey, Richard, dropping some food for you, I will grill them on what exactly is in the food. I'm not just going to eat it.
I only eat wild meat served by Zena. So
if you go up in the country, let's say you go up Toko a day, and you would have met Terry back in the day, and Terry take it because Terry was so accommodating and welcoming. He would say, take some of this soup. Try this soup, Richard. Try this soup. You will like it. Would you ask what's in it?
Yes.
Of course.
I mean, on a menu laid out?
I'm in the type that would ask. I would ask. What's in the soup? I eat too much soup to not know that there's soup different.
I keep asking whether what's the point of it? What is it? It's some sort of aphrodisiac?
It was considered that.
Okay.
Well, it is considered that.
Well, the orca whales consider the leatherback turtles to be a delicacy.
Correct.
So, I suppose in a sense.
But they eat in the whole turtle? No, they ain't in part of the turtle.
Well, they're whales, they're just swallowing it, I guess. That's something you just have to swallow. And hope it goes down well.
When did it go down well?
It did.
Okay. So would it be fair to say that you had some penis in your life?
It would be soup, yes.
You know what I don't understand about humans, Paul and Wendell and Steve, is how they got to the point of saying turtle penis soup. How they got to that point.
No,
how they got to the point of, okay, let's make a soup out of turtle. First of all, you see the turtle and say, hey, that will make a good soup. How does that generate in your mind? Vis-a-vis,
if human can't eat anything, let's start with that culturally.
A good barbecue, vis-a-vis, baked or fried.
What do you mean a good barbecue? But Richard, people actually look at it.
You see a turtle and you say, boy, this turtle will make a good soup. And then you don't stop there. You say, oh, good, look, the turtle has a penis. Let's make turtle penis soup. How do you connect the dots to reach that point for somebody to bring a broth to you and say, hey, I have some turtle penis soup here for you?
But Richard, people would have taken a little chicken, egg, it crack and a little chicken come out, and grow that, feed that non-stop for it to grow big, and then barbecue it. So what is the difference?
Exactly, I see the difference.
What is the difference?
The difference between barbecue chicken and turtle penis soup?
Because that's a cultural difference.
It's not cultural. It's a human. It's the same human beings. It's the same.
But you started by saying why the turtle.
How do you look at a turtle and get past the usual baking, frying, barbecuing to zone in on this particular part of the turtle and then make a soup out of that particular part? And
humans have an obsession with
how you get all there.
Genitalia
and then say it's an aphrodisiac or whatever it is.
I'm sure you would have heard about cow tongue, monkey brains. You haven't heard about those delicacies?
Yeah, and the same statement I'm making will hold for all of those.
Uh-huh.
How do you get to that point?
Because people feel, you know, and as man, I'm sure as a man come up with it, that this thing could help me and do wonders for me.
A monkey brain.
Yeah,
A
purpose. Yeah, paper.
totem,
Anyway,
a
yes.
turtle,
we
P-R-I-C-K. We just sanitizing the word by using penis, but it's actually turtle, P-R-I-C-K. That's what they say.
All right, gentlemen, it's time for us to run into the three dailies. Headline.
Don't think they serve that at Boozle. All right, I will start. I will start with the Newsday.
He single out Boozle.
Trinidad and Tobago Newsday for today. Of course, it is Wednesday, November 29th. It's the penultimate day before the end of the month. Protest after Sangre Grande contractor shot dead. Cops kill man in bed. That's the headline of the Newsday. And there's a picture of the fiery protest that went along with that. Subheadline, there's only one other subheadline. Terry Rondon dies at 74. And of course, our condolences to the Rondon family. The daughter did an interview last night on television, and it was so, you know, she was obviously, you know,
she was very close to her father, trust me.
Yeah. So it was, you know, sad, very sad. On the back page of the Newsday, St. Anthony's storm international intercall semis. Tigers hit Shag North a handful, and Sport TT to fix lights at Larry Gomes and Manny Ramjohn Stadium. Well, Sport TT only don't just have to fix the lights at Larry Gomes, you know, that looking like the cool. If you go into Larry Gomes, I don't know when last either of you have gone into Larry Gomes, but oh my goodness, when you look up at all of the structure, it just looks so rusted and horrible.
Yeah, Larry Gomes has been neglected for a while.
It is terrible.
Yeah.
The Daily Express for today, front page, cops kill contractor, residents block road, burn rubbish following police raid in Grandy. All of that's on the front page. The main picture is that of police officers from the Garden Emergency Branch appeal to angry protesters at Immortal Crescent Road 3 in Sangre Grande yesterday, following hours of protest action. Uncle Terry dies is the subheadline. And on the back page of the Trinidad and Tobago Daily Express today, All St. Anthony's Westmoreland Tigers maul Chaguanas North Sec in intercall quarter-final. And that's the main stories. And West Indies, hit back. And moving on to the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian for today. And the front page, what did the Guardian go with? Basically, everybody went with that story in Grandy as their lead. Outrage in Grandy. Cops kill colleague's husband in bed.
Oh, it's a policewoman's husband?
Well, this is what this headline is saying. Cops kill colleague's husband in bed. Incident sparks protest in community. Garbage truck hijacked during melee. And there are pictures of the confrontation between the police and residents and a lot of gesticulating with hands, etc. That's what the picture is. Kamla wants age limit for ganja use. Gambling increased. P&M stalwart Terry Rondon dies. Or those are the subheadlines. And on the back page of the Guardian today, West Indies A fights back. And the main picture is, of course, I think, is it St. Anthony's? Yes. Is the St. Anthony's and Chaguanas North match. And just in case you didn't know, St. Anthony's won it 5-1.
That should be an interesting story that you just read there, the headline. Kamla wants the age increase for gambling and marijuana use. Increase from what to what?
18 to 25, I think.
25?
Yeah, I don't know what is the point of raising that, but yeah, it's in the news.
But what is the justification? Is she giving?
So you could choose the government, but you can't gamble. Okay.
Yeah. Anytime you have differing ages, I'd be like, Because if at 18 you're an adult, you're an adult. If you want to change the age of adults to 21, then say that.
Yeah.
But from the time you say somebody's an adult at 18 and all other things they are adult for, but you want to zone in on things, I'm never comfortable with that.
Yeah, but so that was saying, what is the justification is she giving for it? What justification is she giving?
No, I'm not sure. I just skimming the article. One of it is that there's marijuana laced with cocaine now, and I suppose somehow if you're 25, maybe the cocaine affects you less. I don't know, but I saw that in the article, and maybe I suppose with regard to gambling, at 25 you are more sober.
You'll control it better. You'll control it better than
when you're 25.
Yeah. You'll play less.
Yeah. That's your headlines there, Richie Rich.
Yeah, that's it for the 3 days.
All right, let's get the results of our morning poll. Of course, yesterday we asked you, do you think Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley should reconsider and lead the government's team in the crime talks now that Gary Griffith has withdrawn his involvement? That was our poll yesterday. Give it the final results right after this.
You asked us for it. We listen. Are you an employer who needs a certificate of compliance from the NIBTT? Starting Friday, 1st December 2023, an employer who qualifies for a certificate of compliance will be issued a certificate valid for 3 months from the date it is issued. To make your request, email a completed NI200 form to compliancecertificate@nibtt.net. NIBTT, making it easier for you to do business. We are more than just a pension provider.
And we're looking out for you.
Persons with disabilities should have the same rights and access to services and opportunities as every other citizen in Trinidad and Tobago. But they do not, and it's time for change.
The Law Association of Trinidad Tobago's Subcommittee on Human Rights Working Group on Disability Rights is hosting a series of consultations titled Law and Disability Rights.
Saturday, 25th November, Naparima Girls Auditorium, San Fernando.
And Saturday, 2nd December, Hillview College Auditorium, El Dorado Road, Tunapuna, 2 to 5 p.m.
Come share your important views on what you think laws that protect the rights of persons with disabilities in Trinidad and Tobago should look like, and what must be included in that law to protect your rights.
The Law and Disability Rights Public Consultations, Saturday, 25th November, Naparima Girls Auditorium, San Fernando, and Saturday, 2nd December, Hillview College Auditorium, El Dorado Road, Tunapuna, 2 to 5 p.m.
Come share your perspective and contribute to crafting comprehensive laws to protect the rights of persons with disabilities in Trinidad and Tobago.
All right, thank you so much. Do you think the Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, should reconsider and lead the government's team in the crime talks now that Gary Griffith has withdrawn his involvement? The results are in 95%. 95% said yes, he should reconsider. All right, let's get into this morning's poll.
Well, my suggestion is based on a question Senator Mark posed yesterday regarding the Dragon gas deal. And he's asking that the government provide more information and clarity. The government is saying negotiations are at a sensitive stage, and doing so would jeopardize the negotiations.
So what is the question? Oh, okay.
Do you think the government should share more information on the Dragon gas deal with Venezuela?
Even though they say it's at a sensitive stage.
Well, as I said earlier, he got some support. You don't have to share all the information, but certainly the policy direction you're taking and the general parameters of the deal you're entering, because you're entering into a deal that will affect the futures of people in this country. Mm-hmm. So while you may not be able to share absolute details, the contention from some independent senators also that some information is at this point is noteworthy, especially given the geopolitical machinations around the area.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I mean, I don't know what is the more information that is required. Is it that they are aware of something that the government has not shared and that they should have shared? You know?
I don't know.
So, all right, but let's do it. That's our poll this morning. Do you think the government should share more information on the Dragon gas deal with Venezuela? We have 2 votes already. One, Anon saying no. and Alan Reese saying yes. So those are the two votes that we started with.
Yeah.
And that's our poll.
And good morning to Ronald Pierre, Trinidad Mango, Donna Leeling, Faria Hayatali, good morning. Mogi, Taujan Aruka, good morning. Carol Joseph, Ms. Maloney, Josie Orlando Richardson, good morning to you. Carol Joseph, Doreen Pierre, Curtis Henderson, Akela Charles, Arno, Miles versus Jesus. Sorry?
Akello Charles.
Akello. Okay. Shireen Jack, good morning. Rena Boodoo Jennings, Richard Duku.
Richard Duku says no. Candice Ravello says no. Wayne B says no.
Slick Money Grip says no. On WhatsApp, I have a yes, and I have another yes. 318-1021. Message us on Facebook or YouTube, or you can call us at 222-8255, or North American, it's toll-free, 866-525-1099. Good morning to you, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen. Sandy Grandi. Wendell, turtle is a protected species in Trinidad and Tobago. My answer is yes.
Yeah, the leatherback. Yeah.
The leatherback.
Yes. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Dudu. Good morning, guys. Condolence to Terry London, my ex-neighbor, and my answer is no. Bye. Have a wonderful day.
All right, Ms. Maloney, thank you. Marcia Rock says no. Gregory Bauer says no to the poll. Do you think the government should share more information on the Dragon gas deal with Venezuela? I got DL.
You're muted.
DL says it's taxpayers' money. Everything should be transparent. Yes to the poll.
I'm saying the person who are voting through WhatsApp, kindly put your location or your first name so we get a sense it's not, of who's sending
Double voting.
the vote here.
Yeah, Michael in London says no.
Slick Money Grip, I agree with you.
What he says?
I don't trust the opposition of doom and gloom. Something reads a setup somewhere there. But maybe it's my pro-government stance that I'm detecting that.
Maybe? Okay. Maybe. That's nebulous. Maybe it's your pro-government stance. Okay.
Ron
being
M says yes.
Being very gracious there. Maybe it's your pro-government stance, Brenda.
Hey, leave me alone, boy.
Yeah. Somebody else says yes.
And the penis.
Julia S. Batiste says yes.
No.
Sorry, I was reading Josie. Julia S. Batiste says no. Josie
Wait,
Orlando Richardson says yes.
I got both
You
of them.
want to get those glasses checked, eh?
I do,
Our poll this morning, do you think the government should share more information on the Dragon gas deal with Venezuela? That's our poll this
Or
morning.
you can drink some Turtle peanuts, so it might help your vision too.
As the geopolitical issue ramps up. 222-TALK, 222-8255. North Americans, 866-525-1099. People on WhatsApp, 868-338-1021. And of course, people on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, you can send your votes via the message platforms there. It will come up in our feed because we are getting Facebook and the YouTube votes on our feed. All right.
Good morning, Gloria Charles Pantin. She knows exactly what that turtle soup is about.
Yeah. Carol Guevara says no. Naisha says yes. Jean Clark says no. Good morning to you, Anthony Tinto. It's cold.
Morning, Tinto. It must be freezing.
Yes, North America is very cold now.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very cold winter.
I just came from Orlando, and Orlando is cold.
Yeah. John Cato says no. Beefy Smith out in Tobago. Good morning, Beefy. Goodwood, Tobago. Yes. Rena Bodu Jennings says yes.
No. What is wrong with you?
Sorry.
I tell you, something is wrong with him. He does that all the time and he's adamant, you know.
It's a good thing I'm watching for myself and not listening to
He
you.
gives the wrong thing all the time. You can't put the elections on confused at all.
No, I'm not watching it on the side. It's straight in front of me.
You know how much elections you want to have being recalled?
So watch into the side to a yes to a no, or a no to a yes, right? Watch into the side. Great reason, Steve. Great reason.
Somebody like him count their Rima ballots.
Well, if you see this monitor, it's not as crisp as
yes, it's the monitor, Steve. It's not you. It's everything else but you. It's you, Steve. Fix your glasses. Go and check your glasses. You'll be all right. We outgrow glasses sometimes. If that dose of turtle penis soup you drink, it mess up your sight.
Yeah, we need to drop that talk. Eh?
Why?
Why?
Yeah, we need to drop. Trust me, drop that talk.
But somebody upset.
It has run its course.
Hey.
It was the first, second, and third.
Police now?
It was the first, second, and third course. It's done.
That's why I said that. It's run its course.
Let me also say belated birthday greetings to Amjad Ali, the owner of Furniture Plus. He listens to us every morning.
When was his birthday?
His birthday had gone. His birthday gone already. But he did reach out to me. So and I told him I will do it. Good morning and belated birthday greetings.
Yeah, happy belated birthday.
Yeah, one of the nicest guys anybody could meet.
Yeah. Happy belated Amjad Ali at Furniture Plus. The reason I said that we should drop that conversation, I got a message from two friends of mine, and said they're dropping the kids to school and they had to change the station. So, yeah, they don't think it was appropriate.
All right.
So it has run its course. All right. Let's get into.
What we were talking about, though, eh?
Let's just leave it at that.
All right.
Let's get into news. Evie is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
The opposition calls for transparency in the Dragon gas deal between TNT and Venezuela. PNM stalwart Martin Terry Rondon has passed away. Assessments being done and proposals will be submitted following arson attack at Licensing Caroni Office and Paria Commission of Inquiry to sit for the last time today. Details in a moment. This is news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Afril Sinjil Bab. Good morning. Government has been told by the opposition to provide relevant information to the public relating to the Dragon gas deal with Venezuela. Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela signed agreements for the joint exploration of gas in the territorial waters shared by both countries. However, opposition Senator Wade Mark, during a motion in the Senate on Tuesday, quoted from a senior official at the United States Western Hemisphere of State relating to implications which can arise if this country fails to fulfill its part of the agreement.
Brian Nichols, the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for Western Hemisphere Affairs, declared that all options are under consideration, including the annulment of licenses allowing the export of Venezuelan oil and gas. And he's quoted as saying, if they do not fulfill the agreement.
Mr. Mark claimed as far as possible the government should come forward with information to the nation to ensure transparency and accountability.
The government cannot be engaging in secret negotiations without our knowledge. We are not asking, Mr. President, to give us everything, but the government has enough knowledge to know it has a responsibility to hold up the light so people can see. Let us light up the place and let us bring transparency to the process.
In response, Minister of Energy and Energy Affairs Stuart Young said the government will be responsible in how it proceeds with respect to this project.
Now that the United States have issued a general license that expires in April of next year, as compared to ours, when I go to Venezuela within the last few months, we are no longer the single game in town. You come out of the negotiation room and you see global energy players waiting to enter into the same room to negotiate deals. And that is the reason why this is so critical to be protected, the confidentiality, because the deal that we will get from Venezuela will differ to the deal that a European company will get.
Minister Young also cited why confidentiality is critical to this process.
If Plant A, that is owned by A, and Plant B, that is owned by B, go to NGC as they do, or National Gas Company, for gas, you will negotiate different prices with them. There are different factors that you'll take into consideration. One plant may get a better price than another. And if these things are now made open and you breach the confidentiality, it will lead to disarray.
Meanwhile, independent Senator Anthony Vera highlighted some concerns he has with respect to the license granted Venezuela and the border dispute and its holding on elections.
I think Senator Mark has raised issues. The U.S. has granted a license. Is that license in peril if Venezuela invades the Essequibo region or it fails to have the general elections as was agreed? I think that's a matter we need to hear. Secondly, what is your role as lead negotiator on behalf of Trinidad and Tobago, and whether or not that extends to being able to speak on behalf of companies which are not part of the state but are companies in their own right and separate?
Minister Young responded to the concerns raised by Senator Vera, insisting his role is acting on behalf of the government and not energy companies.
I hear a lot of talk about the amount of trips that are made to the United States and to Venezuela. It is for a singular purpose. The only purpose of those trips is that we were always advocating on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago for a future for Trinidad and Tobago. And let me answer Senator Vera's concern, which is a legitimate one. I don't act on behalf of NGC. I don't act on behalf of Shell. I am an elected representative of the people of Trinidad and Tobago for constituency, and that is who I'm acting on behalf of the government.
Former Sangre Grande Regional Corporation Chairman Martin Terry Rondon has passed away. Confirmation of this came from Works and Transport Minister Rohan Sinanan in the Senate on Tuesday, just before he responded to a question on the order paper. Mr. Rohan Sinanan also sent condolences to Mr. Rondon and his family and recognized his long years of service for the country. Mr. Rondon began his political career as a local government representative in 1996 at the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation. The Matlot-born Mr. Rondon has served the burgesses of the Sangre Grande region and by extension Trinidad and Tobago for many years. He served as chairman of the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation for 2 council terms, 2013 to 2016 and 2016 to 2019. Minister Sinanan acknowledged and spoke about the contribution of Mr. Rondon.
Mr. President, if you just permit me to extend condolences to one of our stalwarts in local government, Mr. Terry Rondon, who have passed on. On behalf of the government and myself and my family, I just want to extend condolences to the family of Mr. Terry Rondon, who would have done human service to this country at the local government level.
Yeah.
You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. At 2 p.m. today, the Commission of Inquiry into the Paria diving tragedy will convene a virtual sitting. The Commission says this will be its final sitting and it's not expected to last more than 1 hour. April was the original deadline for the Commission to submit its final report. However, Chairman Jerome Lynch asked for an extension. The request was granted and it was extended to August and then November. Finally, here's weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, mostly fair, slightly hazy and breezy, except for some partly cloudy intervals with a few light to moderate showers in confined areas. There's a low chance the heavier shower or thunderstorm could occur. In the vicinity of heavy showers and or thunderstorms, expect gusty winds, frequent lightning, street and or flash flooding. There is a mild to moderate concentration of Saharan dust in the atmosphere, so persons who are sensitive to these conditions are being advised to take the necessary precaution. Also, spring tides are in effect, so all beach enthusiasts should exercise caution, especially during high tide. You can expect a temperature high of 32 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 31 degrees Celsius at Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, it is 24 degrees Celsius at Piarco and 26 at Crown Point. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, the opposition calls for transparency in the Dragon gas deal between Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela. PNM stalwart Martin Terry Rondon has passed away. Assessments are being done and proposals will be submitted following arson attack at licensing Caroni office, and Paria Commission of Inquiry to sit for the last time today. I'm Avril Cynthia Bab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon today and an update at 6 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on at 8 o'clock this morning, rather. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right, thank you, Avril, for our major news. You can join Ivy again coming up at 8 o'clock, which is 47 minutes away for a news brief, all right? And then at 12 noon with Sir Charles on the program, Keeping It Real, all right? Quickly, let's get into a quick traffic update, see what's happening on the highways and the byways. It is peak time, and yes, you've got traffic where you think you're going to get traffic. You will get traffic. Dago, Maraval, leaving Chaguanas, let's check the Solo and see what that is like. San Fernando, you're lighter than usual. You'll get a little traffic from Claxton Bay heading towards Couva. Chaguanas may notice heavy, but after Couva, you'll pick up a traffic just before Monroe Road, all right? All right, let's get back into the program, see if I have any more votes here. I got Long Islander saying no. All right, thank you so much, caller. WhatsApper. All right, DL, thank you. Got your message. All right. All right, gentlemen, so we're back in. Let's get the results of our morning poll. Let me just check my... any more votes? No. All right, so let's go.
All right, we had 21 people weighing in on this poll this morning. Do you think the government should share more information on the Dragon gas deal with Venezuela? 7 of our pollsters said yes. 14 said no. 7 said yes. 14 said no. We should not be sharing more information. All right? The government should not share more information. All right? Mm-hmm. So that's the end. That's our poll there this morning. Is our guest in fatigues? What's that, Nike fatigue?
Yes. Good morning. Yes, camouflage. So to all the Gary haters, I'm out of the country because, you know, it's only in a banana republic. You could have a child in a pink camouflage toy or a lady in a yellow camouflage pom-pom shorts, and that's against the law because that could destroy national security.
Oh, you had a chance to fix that. Don't go there.
I did. And I went and I met with the head of customs. I drafted the policy. It was to allow to amend because the customs misinterpreted the Defense Act, Chapter 1401, and they misinterpreted to state that any camouflage was to be illegal. And I amended it. I drafted the cabinet note, and then I got fired. So not my fault.
All right. And did you advocate for it when you went back as Commissioner of Police?
Oh, yeah, I did. I sent it several times to the Attorney General. They totally ignored me. Just like when they called Gary Griffith with the pepper spray. Those things are not relevant, which is why the police go through a lot of issues when tourists come inside with a yellow camouflage toy and they're told, no, this could affect national security. This could destroy Trinidad and Tobago if you bring this in.
Let me hear you defend the fact that police still ain't wearing body cams now too. Because
Well,
under
again-
you, every day we were getting more body cams, you know. And we still ain't see them and
Yeah,
nobody
well-
still ain't wearing.
As Commissioner of Police, it was a standard operational procedure that you must wear your body cameras when you leave your vehicle, if you go on a patrol, if you're on an operation, or if you're issuing a warrant. That was standard operational procedure. And we had the technology through the operational command center to ascertain if it was being utilized. All of that was shut down. Oh, by the way, good morning, gentlemen, and good morning, Trinidad.
Good morning to you, Gary Griffith.
Morning. We wanted to get the defenses out of the way now.
Of course.
All right.
So, shoot.
Richard, I think you guys are muted, you know.
Oh, I think we can start with the latest
Yes.
issue, which is on the front page of all the newspapers this morning, about the cops killing the conductor in Grandy in his bed that fueled protests. And it kind of connects to the question that Wendell just raised, the issue of body cams and why it is. But I think it's mystifying to Trinidadians and Tobagonians why body cams are such a difficult issue to implement.
Yeah. Because you are St. Mary's old boy. You asked the right question, and you're correct. The fact is that everything that is new requires buy-in. And when I was the commissioner of police, I realized police officers were reluctant because they figured that this is going to be used as an avenue to set me up. And I did a lot of massaging and buying in to get police officers to understand that little lady with the towel that was bawling, that all it's wicked. It is to prevent you from being wrongly accused. So if it is you did something wrong, well then don't be afraid to hide it. If it is that you did something right, you should boast about it. And so look, the body camera is there to show that person drew his weapon first. That person, I was forced to use minimum use of force. So by me massaging it first, I then did the standard operational procedure. Remember, it was before me. There was no such thing as body cameras. There was no such thing as pepper spray. There was no such thing as tasers in the police service. So I brought that minimum use of force from the body cameras, the pepper spray, the tasers that was never there before. And they were being utilized properly to ensure that minimum use of force. The next thing is to put the standard operational procedure. That was all done. All of it. But again, based on instructions from politicians, politicians, whatever, as soon as the government's changed, you must shut down and dismantle. Instructions were given at every single thing that I put in place, whether it was body camera, standard operational procedure, GPS tracking on police vehicle, the operational command center, the police app, the 999 system, the emergency response patrol, SORT, the technology that put an end to kidnapping, the technology that put an end to home invasions, shut it down, dismantle it, remove everything that Gary Griffith did. And so, Richard, it is there. That is where it is worldwide. So the technology was there that if the person is in the vehicle and they're on a patrol, you must turn it on. When they come back, we are checking to verify whether it was utilized. Standard operational procedure, you sign for the, if it is, you have to put out a warrant. You have to go in an operation. Put in a warrant, go in with a warrant, go in an operation, you can expect the worst. So you can expect possible confrontation, which is why the body camera must be turned on. So it's not to say that the body camera must be on 24/7. If you're in your police vehicle, you had the live camera that I had that they also shut down. It was providing live feedback to the operation center. But so whether you're on a patrol, whether you're in a roadblock, whether you're in an operation, whether you're going to put out a warrant, the standard operational procedure must be put on. That was there before me. After I left, it has been cancelled. So the police now, it is optional for them to use it. And if it is optional, this has nothing to do with the police officers. If I'm a police officer and I'm not going to be disciplined by turning it on, well then I'm not going to turn it on. So that is where the hierarchy comes in.
So are you saying it was mandatory with you and optional now?
Correct.
But you also keep saying that everything that you put in place, Gary Griffith put in place, was shut down. Do you think, let me ask this question and get out of the way quick. Do you think then that it was in retaliation for when the People's Partnership came into power, you were the National Security Advisor and everything was shut down that the PNM did before? Do you think that it might be something as petty as that?
Well, no, so I'm glad you said that. So I'll blow a booster and bully down there because as a National Security Advisor, I'm not there I didn't have the authorization to operationalize policies. when I was the Minister of National Security, you would have seen that I piggybacked on what Patrick Manning did, because when he had the OPVs that cost $2.4 billion, because if you type BAE/corruption, you will find 17 countries that were paying kickback to government officials buying BAE vessels. So instead of, when I saw the value of the OPVs, I was able to acquire, I went to Colombia, Korea, and Israel, and we were able to get the same OPVs at half of the cost, and we were able to get the diamond vessels. So I think I piggybacked on what Patrick Manning did. When it is that the PNM had something called SORT, it wasn't accidental at Commissioner of Police. I formed something called the SORT. I was able to look at what it is Patrick Manning had with the Goodyear blimp, and I was getting drones. So unlike other politicians, when they put me in that bracket, I looked at the value of what the PNM did, and I piggybacked off of it, if you want to call it cheated, but by bringing in the same items, but at hundreds of millions less cost.
You know, Gary, I am a little astonished that you are saying, and I assume your information is correct, that issue of body cams going into especially explosive situations, like what would have occurred yesterday, is an optional issue and it's not mandatory. Yeah. I would have thought that there would have been a departmental order and that there would be repercussions and disciplinary proceedings if you don't turn on your body cam. So you're saying that infrastructure is now optional?
Yeah, correct. And the reason it took me so long as Commissioner of Police, because when I arrived, we did not have body cameras. We didn't get the budget. The Minister of Finance cut the budget by the police of over $300 million during the period of COVID. So he did everything to basically try to shut us down. And
everybody got cut. Hold on. Everybody got cut millions of dollars during COVID.
Right. Except no, Wendell, I beg to differ. All over the world, the two departments that funds were pumped in for mandatory purposes was health and law enforcement. So don't get tired.
Everything you said all over the world. I'm saying in respect to Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah, every department got cut.
But Wendell, if it is at what was the mandatory requirement during COVID? Law enforcement. So you can't cut and health. So that is why you can't expect to have more police, more roadblocks, more officers out on the ground, and you cut the cost. So that is what you have. That is what you call a budget. That is why you reduce the cost of other things that may not be required because things were shutting down. But if you want to reinforce policing, you want to reinforce law enforcement, it's just like saying, well, Ministry of Health, we're going to cut your cost because everything else is being cut down.
But police, Gary, had a lot less to do during COVID.
What?
Yes.
Boss, that is why the police lost 30 officers during COVID. The police was the one avenue that was out on the ground to ensure people adhered to the public health regulations. Wendell.
Well, all right. So in terms of a presence and monitoring, fine. But there was and you keep saying it, you trumpet that. There was a reduction in crime during that period. A lot because of what the police were doing, but also a lot because a lot of people couldn't move around as they could.
Nobody could know, but the fact is, if you have more roadblocks, you have more police. You have to pay more overtime. You have to pay for more fuel. You have to pay for more for meals. So obviously, all over the world, the cost for expenditure to keep policing going during a period where it is you have to intensify law enforcement based on public health regulations would require a greater expense. You don't diminish it; you increase it. And what was interesting is after I left, he increased the budget for the police by $300 million after I left. But I'm sure that's coincidental, Wendell.
All right, we'll go back to Richard's question.
Sorry. Yeah, Richard. So the important point here is that it took me a while to get the funds to be able to start having enough body cameras to make it a standard operational procedure. So coming down to the end of my tenure, we set up that SOP that if you have to go on a roadblock, if you have to go on a patrol, if you have to go to issue a warrant, if you have to go in an operation, it must be turned on. The individuals who were involved in that IT department, they would check in and they were able to bring back to me, sir, this division, this station, they are not using the cameras. And then we were able to pull it in. So with that now, we were able to now put checks and balances to measure their performance, make them accountable. And then by doing that, then disciplinary action should be done. That is what should happen. There is not so in a situation like this, you know you're going into an operation, you know you're going into a possible volatile situation. It is mandatory. If you did not put it on, then you're culpable. So all that is required is if it is that there was an SOP with it being mandatory, Richard, the officers who would have been involved in that operation would be disciplined. They cannot be disciplined because they removed that SOP, making it mandatory for the body cameras to be turned on. That is all that is required. So let's not blame the officers. If you're not, if you understand what I mean, you are the hierarchy of the police service. You put an SOP, you make it mandatory. If they do not comply, no, you could take disciplinary action.
Morning, Gary. So what you're saying, because I remember McDonald Jacob indicated there was a policy and he was training officers in the use of the body cams. You said there was a policy and officers were being trained and there was a standard operating procedure to use body cams. And Mrs. Harewood Christopher has said on record in the public that there's a policy. So are you saying that from your information, there's a changed policy now about the mandatory option for wearing body cams?
Yeah, correct. Because if there's a standard operational procedure and you put it down that if at any time you're going to issue a warrant, you see there are certain things. If it is that you're a police officer in a vehicle, you're not going to turn on the body camera. So it has to be a specific time, like a specific period that you have to put. Because just putting it that any police officer must always wear body cameras is not going to happen.
So your information is that the mandatory body cam use in engaged situations has been discontinued.
Correct. And so it is supposed to be put down if at any time there's a patrol. Sorry, that there's a that you.
Do you have information as to why it has been discontinued?
No, it is for the hierarchy of the police service to explain. And I would like for this interview to be one that will wake them up, for them to realize that is all that is required.
I don't think the interview is going to wake up anybody.
Paul, what I'm showing is that look how simple it is. Even if it was never done before, all that is required today, as of today, any police officer who has a warrant to be issued, who is going in an operation, who is going to control a roadblock, you must turn on your body camera. So, and listen, this is when it is you're going to be culpable. If an incident takes place, then we will say, let us see your body camera. If you didn't put it on, bam, immediate suspension. That deterrent is what will cause it to be mandatory for these situations.
But you have to enforce stuff for it to make sense. I just got a document that says that the police letterhead dated June 8th, 2016. And Departmental Order 75 of 2016. Use of body worn cameras in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, and it goes on to indicate the intention, the purpose, the policy, the methodology, the prohibited recordings, data download, media storage, review of recorded data. Are you familiar with this document?
Yeah, but that was 2 years before I became commissioner, so it became a policy. Policies don't implement and ensure successful operations. Policy is just that, a piece of paper that is put on file. So they did a policy, and it took 2 years until I became commissioner to get the body cameras. So
would it be more consistent for it to be part of the police regulations?
Definitely, and that is where you put it as an SOP. But as I said, it has to be.
So you change it from a policy to a regulation?
Yeah, because you remember, it has to be specific to certain times. You can't just say that police officers, as soon as you sign for a body camera.
No, I'm not asking about that. I understand that. But what you're saying is when you were commissioner, you changed it from a policy to include it in the regulations as standard operating procedure.
Correct.
And that has now seemingly been reversed, or it's just not being enforced?
I think I don't know. I don't know if it is that it was. I'm not there. I don't know if it is that it has been shut down. If it is not being enforced.
But you just said 10 minutes ago it's been discontinued. So
the only thing I could see, that's the only reason I could see why it is that.
Well, from what you see, so you already have definitive information to say it's been discontinued, because that's not the impression I got 5 minutes ago.
Well, when I said shut down is either you can have a policy and it's not being enforced, or you could have a policy that has been removed. Whatever it is, that is what you call shut down. It is not being implemented. So
from what you've seen, it's not being implemented. So you have no information definitive that it's been stopped.
Correct.
Okay, great. All right, let's move on. Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar and the UNC have indicated, that they are going all 41 seats on their own. You spoke to us during the local government election indicating that the way the politics is constructed, it doesn't make sense for a new party to try to gain foothold because of what we know the politics in Trinidad and Tobago is primarily PNM and or UNC, right? Where does that lead? And you hitched your wagon to Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar in an arrangement for local government because of that paradigm. You've said that to us, right? Where does this new announcement by the UNC leave the NTA moving forward?
But let me add to that, because the NTA, I think a day or two later, also called for prospective nominations for all 41 constituency also. So it adds to Paul's confusion and to everyone's confusion. What is the real relationship then?
Well, it is not confusion really. I mean, this is very fluid. This is not a situation. I tell you, this is not a Dukaran or a Prakash that you're dealing with here. I am going to ensure that the 150,000 floating voters, the previous ONR, NAR, COP voters will be properly represented. And probably that is what caused the demise of the People's Partnership several years ago. So
no, it's corruption. It's corruption.
All right. Well, name who was charged.
It's still corruption.
Name who was charged.
Right. Allegations of corruption.
There you go. Which is the PNM's manifesto. It is alleged. It is rumored, and we have heard lies, lies, and more lies. The PNM is good at that, Wendell. You say the same lie over and over, hope people believe it. So I'm glad you said that. So the People's Partnership was removed with corruption. Name one person that was arrested. Well, and you start to moonwalk like Michael Jackson because the PNM is good at that. That is the point. I'm glad you did it. So the government was
so disappointed.
The PNM decided to say corruption.
Mm-hmm. No, but I'm just saying we went down the road of why the People's Partnership was removed. You said it's because of their relationship with the COP, right? Congress of the People, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm saying it was because of the allegations of corruption. Let's move on.
You jumped in the allegation, which is the one, which just like Emailgate, just like the Stanley Joki John report.
Well,
they love to say
I corrected myself
and hope people believe it.
I corrected myself.
I am just hoping that he can answer the question that I asked. Because I asked Gary told us in local, I asked a question and he hasn't had a chance to answer it. You were adding something and it turned into this brouhaha. So I want to go back to my question again, if I can, which is Gary Griffith told us, based on the present political construct in the country during local government election, that he didn't think that a new party had a significant chance. So you had to have an accommodation with an established party, either the PNM or the UNC. The PNM has always gone it alone. So he aligned himself with Mrs. Prasad Bisesa and the UNC. Am I going correctly, Gary?
Yes.
To make inroads as the NTA. Mrs. Prasad Bisesa has now indicated that the UNC is fielding 41 candidates for 2025. Where does that leave the NTA, given what you've said before? You didn't think the NTA had a chance on its own. What's going to happen now?
Right now, I can answer after being interrupted by Wendell and exposing the
No, deflect to Wendell. Let's focus on the question. Focus, right.
Okay, yeah. So the point being, nothing has changed. Politics is very fluid. If you recall, the local government election, both the UNC and the NT, we went all across for 141 candidates, seeking 141 candidates. That is how it starts. As you move along, then there will start to be negotiation, there will start to be dialogue, and then we'll start to analyze and ascertain who may have the better candidates, who may be, it might be best for this political party to have that candidate in that seat, whilst the other political party will pull out and utilize their voters to support that candidate or vice versa. So nothing has changed. So what Kamala Prasad Bisesa and Gary Griffith we have done is typical. We are a political party. We are not here to help another political party because the NTA has representation of all 41 constituencies, same as the UNC. So we should not automatically start saying, well, let us just immediately the NT will select A, B, and C seats, and the UNC will select X, Y, and Z. No, it doesn't work that way. This is a political party. We the length and breadth, we need to make sure we have candidates available for all 41. Because mind you, say for example, St. Joseph and UNC and the NTA have candidates for St. Joseph. That candidate, with one candidate may very well step down, but that candidate now will ensure that all of his supporters will now mobilize to support the other candidate, which is what happened in 1986, 1995, and 2010 that spelled annihilation for the PNM. So that is how it works. If it is that the parties go on their own, then the PNM will always win, such as what took place in 1981, 1991, and 2007.
So let me add, Paul, you want to follow
No,
up?
go ahead. I'll follow up after you. Go ahead.
Because NTA, less than 48 hours later, also called for the nomination of 41 prospective candidates.
Correct.
How does that figure in an accommodation that you have already admitted that you will be seeking with the UNC?
But I just said it, so let me say it in a more simple manner. We did the same thing for local government election. We asked for 41 candidates throughout the length and breadth of Trinidad. The UNC did the same. And the candidates started to mobilize. The candidates started to get persons together who would have been representing and supporting the NTA and the UNC. And then, just before the bell is rung, then decisions will be made as to which candidate will now be that candidate representing that constituency, whilst the other candidate would very well now be acting, whether you want to call him a campaign manager or CEO or something, and making sure that all of their supporters will mobilize to support the other candidate, exactly as what took place with local government
So
election.
would it be correct to assume, based on that analogy, that the NTA's political future depends on Mrs. Pasabi-Sesso's goodwill to come into that accommodation?
No, I don't know why you will say that, because then you could say the same thing what Kamala Pasabi-Sesso, because the UNC has the only time the UNC has ever won a general election on its own was 2000, and that
but the UNC has won, is it 1922 now, Wendell?
Yes, 22-19.
Right. So the UNC is not as in need as the NTA, clearly, because in the last national election, they won 19 seats. So it's not the same. It's not apples and apples at all. The NTA is trying to get into the fray. The UNC is an established party. So you cannot make the same analogy for Mrs. Pasabi-Sesso. The UNC has gotten 19 seats on its own. 19. You are yet to prove yourself.
We did, because when it is you have a party a few months old that could go into the belly of the beast, the 31 safest seats that the PNM has, and seats that PNM would have usually won by 2,500 votes, and they ended up winning by 150 votes. Almost every one of those 31 seats, we cut it by half. We have proven ourselves. And let me clarify again. The fact of the matter is whether the UNC gets 19, 5, or even 20 seats, it is irrelevant. Lose is lose. That's like saying, well, we didn't lose badly, but we
So lose is lose, but not when you get 100 votes to the PNM. So you made inroads, but you still, according to your analogy, lose is lose. You didn't win one local government seat. Because you just said it, lose is lose.
That's why I beg to differ. You see, but the fact is, the sum is great, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. By the NTA getting involved in the alliance, it ensured that the NTA supporters provided the extra votes to ensure that the alliance defeated the PNM and got an extra seat in Sangre Grande. That the NTA's extra votes joined with the UNC vote, made sure that from 6-3 in San Fernando, that was seen as safe, it became 5-4, and the PNM held on to that 5th seat by 24 votes. These things could never happen unless there's an alliance with a third political party. So my point being is that regardless, the UNC would not be able to win an election on its own unless there's a third party. We would have seen that for the length and breadth of the politics.
So your suggestion is the UNC cannot win a national election unless they have an accommodation with other parties.
Well, why would the UNC want to be involved in an accommodation unless they're aware of that? So what Kamala Pasabi-Sesso is doing is understanding, look, if it is that we're a political party and there's a third party that probably has support in the corridor, us working with that political party is going to ensure, and coalition governments, there have been over 80 countries out of the 200 odd that had coalition governments. They've seen it, that you do the math, and the math they poll. So by saying, well, we have 19 and you all have none, it doesn't matter. As I said, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Because that's like saying, in 2010, the UNC would have said, well, look, we have 16 seats, Winston, you all have 0, so we will go up for 40 seats and you take 1. It doesn't work that way.
So let me ask the right question. Do you think the NTA can, if going up against the PNM, win any of the 41 constituencies? Or is it that you're acting, let me finish your question, please. Or is it that you're acting as a spoiler to shift those votes away from the PNM?
It is not a spoiler poll. I think that is totally out of place to refer to 150,000 floating.
I'm just trying to follow your trend of logic. I'm not trying to be insulting in any way.
Yeah, but if I'm trying to explain that to you, there are 150,000 persons who are not PNM till they're dead or are born at UNC and will die at UNC. And nothing is wrong with those people who are like that. But the fact of the matter is that 150,000 have always been the catalyst towards deciding who gets in government. And so by you stating that, it's just like stating the COP was a spoiler in 2007, which arguably they would have been, because they split the votes to allow the PNM to win the marginal seats. That's why it became 26-15 or 25-16, I think. The same thing happened in 1991 with the NAR. The same thing happened in 1981 with the ONR. The third party, if they realize that an accommodation is formed and they work with the UNC, just such as what happened in 1986, the then ULF, it was 33-3. Winston Dukaran understood, and Kamala Persad-Bissessar, that the COP has more support in the corridor than the UNC may have, which is why the COP had the candidates in Arima, in Lopino Bonaire, in other seats.
So you think that marginal seats are where the NTA can be the entity to make a difference in the outcome?
That's what I'm trying to.
I'm just trying to follow you.
Happened in 2010 with the Congress of the People. The Congress of the People went after the marginal seats, especially those in the corridor, and it spelled annihilation for the PNM 2912. That is how it works.
I'm going to throw you a bone.
I'm
going to throw you a bone. Let me trim the bone first now. Do you think that with the exit, don't go to Tom, calm yourself, right? With the exit of Philip Alexander, that it makes your fortunes even better.
No, all right. No. I wouldn't get upset for that, Paul. But the thing is, Philip Alexander, you heard his comments. He said his job is to make sure Gary and Kamala do not get in government. He spent every single moment getting in that campaign attacking the UNC and the NTA. So he had an agenda. We knew what he wanted. And I said it before. I said, no, he had to be rendered for 51 odd seats and he lost all his deposits. But in local government election, you win 100, you get 100 votes, but usually there are several seats that the PNM will win by less than 100. So he did his job. There were 2 seats in Diego Martin that he got 200 votes and we lost by about 160. So in local government election, insignificant parties like that will help the PNM. When it comes to a general election, that becomes less than 100 votes doesn't happen. The closest we've had to any party losing in a general election, I think in the last 20, 30 years, would have been in 2001 with Ramesh Maharaj's third party that cost the UNC government with that seat in Tunapuna when they got 180 odd votes. So the third parties, all these other parties, what I am hoping for is that they will understand, become part of it, become part of the alliance. Let us work together. There's room for you in this. So this is not a Gary and Kamala thing. This is us trying to unite a country, whereas the previous outgoing government tried to divide it.
Are you suggesting then, Gary, based on your analogy a while ago, are you suggesting then that the NTA could be the preferred choice of candidate selection in Arima, W. Mera, Lopino Bonaire, those seats that the COP would have captured in 2010? Are you suggesting that the NTA could be the party that replaces them, but with you at the helm, you will do better at negotiating government positions than Vincent Dukaran did?
Well, not doing better in negotiating. It's just making sure that there's better representation of the 150,000 who supported the COP. I think the COP may have lost their way, and that is all that the 150,000 want to see. They all want the PNM out, but they want to make sure that the people who represent them are not just going to turn a blind eye, become totally irrelevant in the scheme of things as it pertains to good governance. Knowing, understanding Gary Griffith, how he has operated, I intend to prove that to them, that I'm not going to wilt, and we are going to do what is required. The relationship that I have with the UNC, with Kamala Persad-Bissessar, is much better than probably with Winston Dukaran or Prakash Ramada. And that is why
you know what you just suggested there subliminally, that the UNC was that toxic to the COP?
No, not at all. Not at all. It has to do with the leadership of the COP. If you stand firm on certain things, because if the UNC had certain views on certain things and the COP didn't want to show their leadership, their worth, then they would become irrelevant. That is what happened. This has nothing to do with the UNC. So let us not try to throw any ball there to try to say that it's the UNC to be blamed. You as a leader, the buck stops with you. It depends on you to stand and do what is required.
But don't you think that this 150,000 people who would have followed the COP, a lot of people followed them because of the character and personality that Vincent Dukaran was and still is?
Possibly, but it did work that way. Did we?
But I agree with Gary, because the issue with the COP was one of, to me, weak leadership.
Yeah,
from the type of accommodation they went into without being sure of what they're about in terms of the accommodation, then with the UNC, to the changing dynamic of from Mr. Dukaran to Mr. Ramadan, then Mrs.
Right.
Prasad
I'm not
Bachchan,
arguing that.
and it just evolved after that.
I'm admitting, and I am on record as saying that the COP had weak leadership. I'm speaking here about the followers of the COP now, not the leadership. The followers who would have followed the party because of someone like Winston Dukaran.
Right, and the same way it is that the followers of Patrick Manning, they realize that PNM lost their way. The followers of Keith Rowley, and they're going to remove him. The followers of Basil Pandey, it happens. So there's not. It goes with leadership. The 150,000, those people are not easier.
A lot of what you're saying is predicated on that 2008, if I remember correctly, 150,000. 2008 to now is a long time ago, and there seems to be some sort of presumption. I hope you can provide evidence that it's still the status quo remains with those people. They may have grown, they may have decreased. I don't know. What are you basing the fact that you seem to think that same political environment remains or is similar to what occurs now?
Well, it's always polls. You always have to look at polls. Anyone could see anything. Philip Alexander actually believed he was going to win all his seats. So politicians could always see.
Yes, but we talk about their polls. When done properly, are statistical and not delusional.
Correct.
Let's stick with facts.
But there's also a margin of error. And the margin of error would have shown there's one scientific poll done. You're aware of that organization who did it. And the poll was almost identical to the results of the 2007 general election. And the results came out when it is that the results of the local government election, the last one, it was almost identical. Going back
I will tell you, I didn't see a lot of the back machinery of the poll. I know the company that did the poll is usually very credible, but I didn't see a lot of the back machinery to make a decision.
I'll get it for you.
It was a small sample size, and
No, but there was a margin of error. You look at the United States, they interview about 10,000 people, and then they ascertain who's going to win the election. So in this situation, like local government, 190,000 in an alliance versus 130,000, 60,000 difference in a 30% voter turnout. A 60% voter turnout, the greater voter turnout, the greater that third constituency comes out. So you can expect maybe 120,000. 120,000 is exactly the difference in the 2010 general election. Additionally, Paul, what we have started seeing is that younger people are no longer moving towards the thing of mommy and daddy saying is a PNM or UNC house. And that's why it started with 90,000 in 1981 with ONR. It moved to 127,000 in 1991 with the NAR. It moved to 147,000 in 2007 with the COP. So it shows that younger people, based on technology, are actually educating their parents. This PNM and UNC
you can only make that assumption if you compare that growth in numbers and compare to the general population growth of the voting population, because it may be if you do the deeper analysis statistically and you say that it's growing, but that cadre is growing by 30,000, it may not be saying what you're saying if the over 18s who are voting are also voting for the PNM under the UNC. So you can't just make that assumption just like that.
But what I'm saying is what we have seen, that is why it is when you looked at the polls even with the NTA, even with Gary Griffith as commissioner, there was a massive support for younger persons. And we use younger persons as under 40, under 45 in terms of politics. Because younger persons, it has been proven that they are not being totally manipulated by mommy and daddy saying it's a PNM and UNC house. That is why you'll see the numbers growing, which is why I only said 150. It was 147,000 in 2007. It will not go down because but take 150 divided by 41 constituencies, you get 3,000 odd. 3,000.
It doesn't work like that, Gary. All constituency populations are not the same. You're making erroneous statistical assumptions. It doesn't work like that.
But the number of 18-year-olds who become 19-year-olds, it is always it adds up. That is the point.
But you can't presume that every constituency is going to have the same number of persons turning 18 at the same time.
On average, we're just generalizing. We are not being scientific on this because
but we have to be scientific. You just said scientifically.
You can't be scientific to be accurate until the election day has ended.
Exactly, but that's what you're trying to do. You're saying one thing, but you're saying something else 2 seconds after. I don't understand your trend at all.
I'm trying to show in the general what we have seen based on pattern.
You're using an average as a statistical methodology when it doesn't apply in that case.
But if you're seeing the pattern from ONR into NAR into COP into NTA, if I say that, you have to prove otherwise. Then the onus is on you to say.
I know I don't have to prove otherwise. You have to prove what you're saying. I have to prove otherwise. If you make any statement, you have to support the statement with evidence. I have to prove you right or wrong.
But I have given a pattern, and I have shown what happened in local government election, because they actually looked at the votes in the local government election, and it showed that the marginals will again be won by an alliance involving the UNC and the NTA based on the same vote. So even though you get the 7-7 in local government election, because it was almost the same, when it is you take those votes and you break it down into a constituency, the marginal seats will now be won by the alliance.
You know what
I suppose all of that is, to a certain degree, speculation, looking at statistics, but still speculating, which is a nice word for guessing. But I suppose the fact that there is a constituency that is tired of the UNC and the PNM is probably true. And it has always, they've always been there, that constituency, but that constituency is also jaded and probably needs to be more motivated to vote than the hardcore PNM and the hardcore UNC voters.
But what you also look at, again, I bring data. The fact is that every time there's a third party that joins with the UNC, the PNM is annihilated. Every time the UNC goes on its own, they would lose, other than one occasion, and it lasted 8 months. So I am bringing historical facts of our political history to show how it works. For Paul to say now, well, you don't know if it's going to happen in thing. I mean, anybody can. We don't know if we'll be alive by come election. So Paul is given something. I am given something based on what we have seen in political history. And Paul is saying, well, because of history doesn't mean it will happen again. Well, then Paul, then there's a possibility UNC could win 41 seats on its own. Everything could happen in life.
Anything is possible politically. It's unlikely, but it's possible.
You know what I want to ask?
Before we go, there's something we have to ask him about, and I don't want to end before we get to the point. And I know
I have a question to ask on Tobago.
Right, but before we go to Tobago, let's talk crime talks and your withdrawal in the interest of, and I'm paraphrasing what you said in your release, patriotism and putting country first. And what you think will happen now that you've withdrawn, and presumably you were the main impediment in Dr. Rowley leading his team. What do you expect to happen now?
Okay, so let me quickly add. I thought this was going to be the bulk of the conversation today. I hope the country understands what happened. I hope the country understands what happened, what has happened here. And if you look at the Guardian editorial, media houses and other people are saying that the UNC should not have Gary Griffith join in anticipation of Rowley's arrogance, immaturity, and inferiority complex over Gary Griffith. That is unbelievable. You'll swear that this is a dictatorial country. So the opposition should not have, this is what the Guardian put today, the opposition should not have considered Gary Griffith in anticipation of Rowley's arrogance. So the view of Keith Rowley takes precedence over what is right for the country. And let's spin it the other way around. The whole country does not want Fitzgerald Hines, but it's okay for Fitzgerald Hines to enter that meeting because Keith Rowley says so. When is the country going to learn that this country is not a dictatorial one? So persons who are opposed to Rowley must do what Rowley wants to please Rowley. I was the one who started these anti-crime talks. In February, I offered my assistance. And if it is that Rowley had any degree of political savvy, he would have understood this was a win-win situation. You bring him in, crime goes down, you succeed. You bring him in, and nothing happens, him and the opposition, I could blame you all because nothing has changed. But his hatred and arrogance and bitterness, as Patrick Manning said, takes precedence over logic. And I was the one who did it. Kamala Persad-Bissessar joined. Keith Rowley immediately said in a Toco meeting, I don't want to talk to them. Because, everybody outside of the PNM are drunkards, alcoholics, criminals, and involved. Right, Wendell? Once you're not in the PNM, you're in that. And that is what the PNM lives on. Go and drink your rum. Go and have your bush rum. Them is criminal. That is all the PNM do. Attack, discredit. And what I said is, look, this is not a time for that. This is a time for us to circle the wagons, bring in the best minds available to find the best tools, policies, and political will to reduce crime. The president then decided to say the same thing. What happened since then is that the goalpost has continued. It continues to shift. First, it is that the Prime Minister did not reply to the opposition leader. Secondly, the Attorney General, fast and out of place, give the opposition leader a deadline. They then select an agenda. The agenda is nothing more than a subcommittee of Parliament. The Prime Minister then mandates who the opposition must bring to the meeting. They then say that they want 5 and you all must have 4. They then put only legislation, which is a very small percentage of reducing crime. So everything that they have done has totally shown that this is a deliberate political ploy. The opposition and the NTA, we continue to push forward and say we are willing to help. We are putting country first. There's nothing that we could have gained by doing this. There was everything the government could have gained. But again, you want to lead a country, but you continue to show that you hate half of the country. You then try to allude that, well, I can't bring Gary Griffith in here. Gary Griffith, let me tell you, everyone here today.
Well, I don't think but if I may interrupt you, I don't think the Prime Minister eats half of the country. So I mean,
I would love to hear him say, but every single thing
he does, stating something like that.
Yeah, but the point being, Richard, how many times can the Prime Minister say anything in support or commendation or thank anybody unless you have a PNM party card? I'm sorry, I don't live like that as a politician. When I was Minister of National Security, I never had one negative thing to say about the PNM because I'm in government and I want your help. I want your support. I respect you for who you are. That is how I treat myself. So let me clarify again. So Keith Rowley's excuse or whatever, arrogance, not having me. There are 3 major political leaders in these anti-crime talks. The political leader of the PNM, the UNC, and the NTA. I could be pleased to say that I am one of the 2 that have never been investigated by the Integrity Commission. I am one of the 2 that have never been a person of interest or under investigation by the police in any matter. So there's nothing that was stopping or preventing me from being part of it. You come in and then your content, whole thing to hate Gary Griffith is based on, again, banana republic theory. You as a politician, hire people, pay them big money, let them write reports that you may want, and then you want to read it out to attack and discredit people, aka email gate reloaded, which is why he wanted to go to Parliament, because it's the one place you can lie to discredit people. Wendell, if PNM just gets out of that the one thing that Keith Rowley and the government probably had a problem with me is that I was not arresting political opponents fast enough by giving me $42 million, injecting it into the police and saying, you are to use these funds specifically to hire these attorneys, make them SRPs, and these are the investigations to lock up political opponents. Any other country in the world, Paul, there will be a snap election for that. We sit down and we accept a situation where there's slow dictatorship taking place. This is what is known as democratic dictatorship. So all that I have done now is that
Gary, those accusations you're making are not based on fact, because we don't know that. That's your word against nobody else, because nobody has said anything about it.
Which accusation?
The accusation that you just made there. That you were given money to go after
the bill of the $42 million. I could bring it right now and show if you want, Don't push me.
I'm just saying you're making.
You want me to show you the $42 million that they put into my account, and every time the English people and the Australians say we're not coming because Imbut hasn't paid us, and I have to call Imbut, and immediately money is injected. But you're not giving money to the police for meals. You're not giving money.
I'm not denying that money was sent to the police, but you are making the allegation, the accusation that it was done for a particular purpose.
You want me to show you now? You really want to go down that road? You really want to go down that road to show you the text messages from the hierarchy of the government? What is the status of arresting A, B, and C?
So yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Please send it to me.
We have the data, and it was.
And if you send it to me, I will send it to the Guardian, the Express, and the Newsday.
These persons were brought in, and we were told there were 3 specific investigations that they must deal with alone. I was direct.
So let me ask you a question, Gary, because what you're alleging is some really nefarious stuff. Why haven't you sent those text messages and or supporting documents to the media in Trinidad and Tobago for publication?
The point is, again, it's a degree of confidentiality, but if it is that Wendell wants to push the envelope...
But you're making the allegation, and you're saying that the government gave you money to go after political opponents and hire particular attorneys to do it. Send the documentation and the support to the media, let them publish it.
Yes, sir. Have you all noticed that when I made that accusation, the first comment made by the government is that it is the role of the government to give money to the police to launch investigations? Correct. But they never denied it because they know because But
Right,
there's a
and I
difference
take your
in
thing,
telling
send it to the
telling
media,
police
let the media publish it.
these are the
So,
telling
Gary,
police
I'm
these
not
are the
saying,
investigations.
Gary, I'm not saying that what you are saying is erroneous or untrue. No, I'm just saying for you to make a blanket statement like that without providing the evidence,
Send the
pride
evidence that you
ourselves
say
in
you have
not
on your
being
phone
able
to
to
the media.
Have you all ever noticed that if it is that I made something so big that the government would have said that is a lie? Have you ever noticed they've never said a word?
And that's fine. But send you say you have evidence on your phone that you will send to me and to Wendell. If you will send it to me and to Wendell, send it to all of the media to support your case that you're making.
But the thing is, why I could do it, but nobody has ever denied it. It's like me.
And nobody has denied it, but you're making the statement. Send the documents and the information to the media. Let them publish it. Why not send it?
Okay.
Oh, you know what, Gary? What, Gary? I'll meet you in the Oval and you'll show me. Don't send it to me. I'll meet you in the Oval and you'll show me.
No, that's not transparency. Send it to the Guardian, the Express, the Newsday, TV6, CNC3, everybody. Send it out to everybody. If you say support your claim, send it out.
And this is why, so let me to clarify, Keith Rowley's nonsense about I don't like Gary Griffith because of firearms. This is the same man that harassed me to get a firearm dealership for somebody close to him in Tobago to sell hundreds of firearms.
You keep saying that, but you have not provided the evidence that is what.
Why does he deny it? But no, you see, Wendell, what you're saying is that every single time a politician speaks on a platform, he's supposed to show a document. That's what you're just saying. Why every single time? Okay, what?
Gary,
the
allegations and the accusations you are making are very serious. I don't know if you know that.
But
they're very serious.
But it is the same thing. The PNM makes accusations about the UNC is corrupt, and they have never shown not one person of a
okay, and everyone should have a problem with that if that is true. But you have a chance now to support your allegations with evidence.
Of course, and that if you want it, you will get it because that is the point.
And don't send it to me alone. Send it to the Guardian, the Express, and the Newsday, TV6 and CNC3, so you'll be different from that paradigm.
That is a show. That is a show an election campaign. That's when the Ramashe starts. But I could tell you, when Keith Rowley has an issue with Gary Griffith, I want the country to understand it had nothing to do with firearms because how you could have an issue with Gary Griffith, but in March 2021, you tell your cabinet, if I could get 10 Gary Griffiths, I could fix the country. You tell your Attorney General in May, change the law because I cannot lose Gary Griffith, change the law so that Gary Griffith could act as Commissioner of Police. I am a spectacular failure, but you put me as your poster boy. I never thought I'd be a centerfold in a magazine before. You put me as your poster boy in the PNM manifesto. It shows it had nothing to do about firearms. It had to do with
You're
Gary
a
Griffith.
centerfold in a magazine. Right? That's an upgrade. Gary, it is always quite interesting talking to you. We're out of time, and as usual, thank you for making yourself available. Don't come back to the airport with that top. I ain't able.
Camouflage.
Have a great day.
Leave that right there.
Well done, Gary.
All right. Thank you so much, Gary.
You all have a great day. Be safe.
Is it the end of the show already?
Yes, it is.
Oh my. Folks, have an absolutely wonderful day. And remember to let go and let God.
Yeah, well, we had a stream of comments from people following the interview. Quite entertaining reading, actually, in the comment section. So sorry we couldn't get to your comments. But this is where we leave it this morning on the Power Breakfast Show. At least the 8 o'clock crew. Steve keeps you company until 9. So have a fantastic day, whatever you do. And remember to smile and laugh. It's great for your health. I'll come in the office physically, Steve, online with you.
Let me know. I'm right here.
Let me know in advance so you could set up.
Yeah. Let me know in advance. And just remember when you come in, bring doubles.
All righty. Have a great one, people.
All right. All right, folks. Let's get into our 8 o'clock news brief. Avril, St. Hill, Bab, all